Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Courageous Conversations. How is everybody doing? I'm going to wait for a few people to come on, and I'm going to shut off my fan. There we go. And welcome. This is my incomparable guest, Sonya Côté. And I'm just going to share, as you come on, let us know you're here. And I'm going to tell you all about Sonya in just a moment. Firstly, Sonya Côté. She wrote an incredible book called I'm Not Naked Anymore, which I love the title, by the way. And, hi, Julia, nice to see you. And just as you come on, let me know you're here. I'm just going to share this on my group, Courageous Conversations, which is a wonderful support place for people. And also, please let us know you're here and share if you feel that that's right for you. Hi, Leroy, nice to see you. And as you come on, just tell us you're here. I'm just doing a little bit of sharing, and welcome to Courageous Conversations. My name is Victoria Lorien Fabish. I'm a registered holistic psychotherapist, and a holistic psychotherapist. And also, I am here to talk about courageous people, courageous conversations, and I'm just doing a bit of sharing, and as you come on, I'd love you. So Sonya.
So technically amazing. It's like I'm watching you do all these buttons while talking.
It's kind of like, it's multitasking. Apparently women are good at it.
Yes,
yes. Apparently we're able to do these things. But it's okay. All I can say is that when we do these things, we tend to lose focus. However, I want to be focusing on you, Sonya Côté. Beautiful.
Okay.
So, Sonya and I met many, many, many years ago.
That's true.
Many decades ago.
30.
Yeah.
So.
30 years ago.
Yes.
And we've sort of crossed paths here and there. And I've always admired you. I've always thought you were stunningly beautiful and really courageous and kind of raunchy and fun. And, because we're both raunchy and fun in those ways. Right? Because I love that. Yeah, it's a totally good word.
Yeah.
Irreverent is another good word.
I like that
word
yeah.
too, and I feel the same way. And, later on I discovered you've written this book called I'm Not Naked. Look at this freaking great picture of this gorgeous woman anymore. Tales or Memoirs of a Contemporary Jezebel. What the hell with the Jezebel? Can you give us a little insight, please, about the word Jezebel? Why? Because tell me about that. Why did you choose that?
I love Jezebel. I first heard about her in a Bible study group when I was a kid, maybe 15. And I lived in a small town. Bible study was like the only thing that we actually had going on in that town. And so I know, it was just brutal. And I did not fit in. So we spent a very brief time on her. She was in the First Testament, and she was this Phoenician princess that was brought in to marry King Ahab.
Oh.
Well, she just turned his entire kingdom upside down.
Of course. She's a Jezebel.
She's a Jezebel. And then she became like this sort of, you wouldn't want to marry a Jezebel. But what was not said about her, they erased a lot of her history, was more fascinating to me than what they did say about her. They named her all kinds of stuff. She was a heathen. She was a pagan. Oh my God, God forbid. She was a real rabble-rouser.
Yeah.
And she took over her husband's kingdom in a time where women were not, I know. And she was allowed to keep her pagan status when she married him. That was part of their contract, which was fascinating to me as a practicing pagan. So I adopted a lot of that stuff, but then I kind of forgot about her until I became a stripper.
A stripper,
What
no
do
less.
Jezebels do? They go around raising the ire of everybody. And so I adopted it as a middle name because to me it was empowering. It was not at all a denigrating title. It was empowering. So I wanted to adopt as much of it.
Did I meet you during that time? Was that when I met you?
That's right.
Oh my God, yeah, I was sort of an actor, so this is 30 years ago, an actor, we'd meet in the sauna after our workout, and you'd be doing all these great sort of skin things. And all this stuff, and I just thought, oh, this woman is stunning. And you were a stripper in Toronto.
I was stripping and acting and singing at the same time.
You were doing a few different things, right?
Yeah. And I actually hid it for a long time. I hid this from a lot of people because you got to remember in the 80s, I started in 84. It was not something that we talked about. I mean, today everybody wants to be a stripper. I actually teach things like find your inner Jezebel, how to strip for your man and all that stuff now. But back then it was like, we're not going to talk about that.
And you were also part of a pretty, I would say, conservative family at the time. You were dating a pretty conservative dude at the time, were you not?
I was married for 7 years to Matthew, yes. He was stepmom was Margaret Atwood. So
can you imagine very sort of prim and proper Margaret Atwood, who's written, by the way, one of my favorite, the current show.
Oh yes,
Handmaid's Tale.
That's fascinating.
I mean, it's an amazing experience, but she just seems very poised and very sort of upper crust and kind of very British and very...
Yeah, I mean, aside from the fact that we're very different people, and of course, she did not... there's a great section in my book where I take her to lunch and I tell her I'm a stripper.
Oh my God!
In three small rooms.
Did she... What did she do? What did she
We have to read the book to find out.
Exactly.
But it's just like, talk about shoehorning both of my feet into my mouth. It was just like the most bizarre... But of all the things I can say about her, it was a massive culture clash more than anything. Like, she wasn't like overtly terrible, or she wasn't,
She seems like someone to be very silent.
She's very cool.
And kind of cool and kind of kill you with her silence.
Yeah,
kind of thing,
and
not
that
with her
to
words.
me is like, I'm Irish and French Canadian. We never shut up. And we're like fiery and we're this. And that is not at all that family. That family is just like...
But I'm sure that Matthew anyways thought, wow, very refreshing, super sexy. You're a great singer. You've got such great style. It must have been, even though you were different, it must have been some chemistry there.
There was a lot of chemistry. I have to say, he was, I actually regret a lot of my behavior in that marriage.
You were young though.
I was very young, but I also was hiding under a lot of inauthentic stuff. It's one thing to proclaim that you're a Jezebel and all that, but I had to hide my stripping from his family. I had to hide my interesting sort of sexual take on life, which is massive.
Right.
My appetite for those kinds of things is huge. So I had to hide that, and I just tried to play that good girl, and it nearly killed me. And
so difficult and stressful.
And so we both weren't meeting in the middle, he and I, and it was like a 7-year marriage that
what was courageous? Was there something very courageous? Well, yeah, I think it's courageous I think it's hard and courageous to hide yourself. It's tough to do because it requires a lot of stamina and bravery, but then there's more courage that I think to be fully authentic.
Well, if you get to a point where you can't live like that anymore. If you wake up in the morning and you're like, you know what, this is just killing me, and I'm gonna end up.
Yeah.
I mean, I already hate myself. I already hate my life and how I've constructed it.
Right.
And I'm constantly having to remember the lies I've told.
Wow.
So eventually you just go, I just can't sustain this.
Too difficult.
Where is this going to end?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And then that marriage sadly ended, but you ended up in a different marriage.
I did.
A second marriage.
I actually had a brief relationship with my manager, which is I don't recommend doing.
Don't recommend that, people.
It's kind of like the office affair. It's like it just never works, right?
Never. What is it? They don't shit where you eat, kind of thing.
Yeah. It was just bad. Yeah. I mean, a good guy, and we remain friends, but just not a great thing I would recommend.
Good that you remain friends.
Yeah.
But I noticed something when I asked you for some topics. You went from hate to hug.
Yes.
Is that about your second husband?
Oh, yes.
Tell me a little bit about, or tell us about that, because many people live in profound hate and anger about the people that they're divorcing or the people that they're separating from because of a variety of reasons, either because they're really shitty with them or whatever it is. But to go from hate to hug, that's massive, and it takes a lot of courage.
Took a massive amount of courage with this man who was dangerous.
Dangerous and sociopathic.
He was dangerous and sociopathic.
Wow.
He made a career of destroying me when I left him. So
he didn't want you to go, and then he turned that around into...
He didn't want to be... I think my going actually just held a mirror up to what had happened, and so they say that you attract what it is you're all about at the time,
right.
And he was extremely adept at portraying somebody who was very caring and kind and supportive. My best friend was dying at the time. My last album was coming out. I was having issues with my record label. And I had just bought this amazing piece of property. And so he came into my life at a time that he looked like a savior, and he was very good at that. Mm-hmm. There were red flags, which I, of course, ignored because I'm a good girl.
Was that savior energy love bombing you?
It was love bombing me, and it was...
be aware of that, everyone. The love bomb.
Huge. Yes. Yeah. I'd never felt anything like this. I'd never met anyone like this. He just kind of glommed onto me.
There you go. Be wary of that. Be wary of the love bomb.
But he showed up in a very weird way. Again, you could read that in the book. It's like the most strange crossroads just hit in the most... And it's a very amusing story, too. Yeah. And then when I left him, he made sure to make me pay. which he actually said verbally that he would do. And I was pregnant.
Whoa.
And I thought maybe I should stay with this guy.
Yeah.
I got pregnant when he was leaving.
Right when
the
he's
day
leaving.
that he was leaving.
Oh,
we
my
had
Lord.
agreed to separate, and I had one last hurrah, and then I stood up and I went, I'm pregnant. And
Oh, my
I
gosh.
had never been pregnant before, so I knew that this was a very different feeling. It was all of a sudden, it was on Mother's Day. And I was expecting my
that
best friend's
soul
mother.
was meant to come down.
Well,
and
to be truthful, I felt her before she arrived. So it takes two.
Wow.
I'm not blaming this guy for impregnating me. I'm blaming
Right.
both of us for being stupid. But so I decided to try and make it work with him, but he was very dangerous. And I'll get into that in the book as well. But
and dealing with a dangerous sociopathic man who is not a stranger, but you're a person, you know, that you were in a relationship with. No. But as they become that and they're someone in your life, as opposed to some stranger out there, it's a very major mind F.
Oh, yes.
It's like, oh, this person that I'm like in a relationship, was in a relationship with, is actually harmful and dangerous and sociopathic, and wow.
Like, you would know a lot more about that, given that what you do. I had no experience with this, so I didn't know what I was looking at.
Yeah.
Like, the day after we married, he was like, different person. It
Wow.
just changed into a completely different person and began to disappear for periods of time, and I didn't know what was going on. And I mean, I did think it was me, and I thought, you know, I need to change this and stuff. And then after a while, it was like, no, this isn't me. This is really weird. And the stuff that they do is truly bizarre. Yeah. But so now I had this dilemma. I had to raise a child with this person who was dangerous to my child. So I had that 5-year period where I was we were divorcing. He ripped me off of my real estate. That's know your real estate law. I became a realtor later on, and I found out about real estate law, which is massively important for women to know, by the way.
So even though you had purchased the property prior to...
I had a few properties before him.
And then he was able to access those?
He wasn't just able to access them. He took over the paperwork because he's in the financial world. He was so helpful, you see. And I allowed him to do that.
Wow.
And that's fine. I mean, you know, you think you know your husband, you think you can trust somebody. I've just had his baby, and he was scheming the whole time to take my worth. But looking back on it, he was scheming the moment he met me, because I had just moved into some kick-ass loft, and he was all over it. So I just bought it, and I was renovating it, and that's
so I would call that a sociopathic narcissist.
Oh, is that what they are? Yeah.
I would say that what you're saying, the scheming and the inability.
It was a long game.
Yeah. Long game thinking. Yeah. And wow.
Yeah, I know.
So what do you think people should know about that law?
The laws are that the laws in family law.
Because you're a real estate agent.
Not anymore.
No?
I did 8 years of that to send my kid to private school, and I was phenomenal with my clients, and I love them all. But I actually, when I wrote the book, I started touring and teaching, and so I went on again to be an actor as well, because I've never been busier as an actor.
That's amazing.
I know, right? Yay, chicks over 50.
Yeah.
But
and looking damn good.
Thank you very much. There's a lot to say about family law, but the brief story is, first of all, trust your instincts. I ignored all the red flags.
Listen to your instincts.
You need to know what your family law is, and I was never a believer in prenup. Now I am. It's not about not trusting the other person. It's about knowing what your rights are. And as women, these laws were written in the 1970s and 80s.
So they're
when
not...
it was presumed that women would be earning as much as men in a very short period of time. And the reality is that the inequity of financial stages and levels is still screwing women over to the wall. And you have a wave of female judges. I'm going to say something that's going to rattle a lot of people right now.
Whatever.
Female judges.
Courageous
right now.
conversations.
Yeah.
Let's not forget.
Nobody's going to shoot me, I hope. But,
no.
These judges are 50, 60, sometimes 70 years old. The women in particular, I felt like they have not only seen a lot of men get shafted in the court system, which they do, they're also of that ilk where they're really trying so hard to balance things between the sexes. But they rule in favor of the men a lot of the time, mostly because they have more money, so they're able to continue to litigate you. You're done by round one, usually, as a single mom. Number two, they are trying for whatever reason to make up for the inequity that is happening to men who are getting shafted, and it's a very real thing.
No, I know, in terms of a lot of parental alienation stuff, and and a lot of men are getting really, really screwed on that.
They are getting screwed.
But
what
the
you're problem saying is the majority of the people litigating still are men because they have the finances. So
what you're saying is that
the inequity is really
inequity,
and then it takes 2-3 rounds for you to be finished financially as a single mother, especially if you're an artist or somebody who doesn't have a regular income. He had much more of an income than me, but my imputed income, again, it's a legal thing, was deemed much higher than his.
Okay. Wow.
In a net gross kind of way. Like if you're self-employed, you'll know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Your net and your gross are very different things. But
Totally.
if you're not spending your $30,000 a year on promoting yourself, you don't have a job.
Right.
But they don't take that into consideration. So it's constant inequity like that.
Wow.
So long and short of it was major. And if I live long enough, I actually would love to lobby to change these laws.
You will. And you are. You're gonna.
Probably.
It's huge. The other thing that struck me about you and part of your story, and I've heard some of your interviews when I was doing some research for this interview, was you had some really, really traumatizing experiences as a child, sexual traumatizing experiences as a child, which is why I say it in our title, the Me Too experiences and more. And you didn't have the support of mom at all at that moment. And it's hard to talk about that, but let's go there because it's in your book.
Well, it's not hard for me to talk about it at all anymore. It was for many, many years. I mean, that's how I hid. And getting back to the whole hate to hug thing, it ties into that whole sexual abuse thing.
Yes,
because
exactly. Oh, wait, first, before we go there, from hate to hug with this man who was sociopathic, you were able to make peace there.
Yes. And because when you are a sexual, I mean, nobody jumps into stripping, that's normal, right? Like, I love my stripping colleagues, but we're all sexually abused in one form or another in some way. Okay. It's rampant. So you go through that kind of experience, and then you're seeking this validation all the time, and it's just, it's the carrot in front of the client. Right? You're constantly trying to win that battle with every customer. Right. So and with every relationship too. That's right. Yeah, you're seeking it, and in your relationships too. So I was set up for that from childhood sexual abuse, from a non-supportive environment, to become somebody who was constantly seeking approval. Right. And you end up with a contract. I believe there's a psychic contract, and I know that sounds very woo-woo. No, but as being a victim,
I'm a holistic psychotherapist. I understand that. Soul contract of sorts.
Yeah, it is a soul contract. And then I broke it. I realized, yes, I'm the victim, and I didn't think I was a victim because I'm such a strong woman and I'm so tall and I'm so powerful and No, I was still playing the part of the victim. So I had to come to a point in my life where I had to accept what had happened, who I was, who this person was, and what my role in it was. Now, that's going to rattle a lot of victims out there.
No, but I mean, that's part of the healing, is to empower yourself to see what your role is as well.
That's right. And I thought,
well,
there's
not
nobody
so
that's
much
going to
the child.
stand around.
Are you talking about the child's role, or are you talking about you in the second marriage?
Me in the second marriage. I mean, but when you grow from a child being formed like that into an adult,
that's right.
Your behavior is all about
because the child has no role. When the child is being sexually abused, they are victimized, and there's no role. They are simply being receptive of perpetration, and they are being victimized. So no. But as that child becomes an adult, there are certain patterns of behavior that become the participation in that dynamic. Yep. Absolutely.
And we're responsible for them. And that was the dawning for me. It was like, wait a second, I have a contract with this guy. I play victim, he plays bully. Right. And then I pretend to be the victim in court, and he looks like the victim, and I look like the bully. And we did this back and forth.
How'd you get to
12
hug?
years.
How'd you get to hug?
My daughter was graduating from middle school, and I wanted to make things very normal for her, and I knew that he was going to be at that graduation, and I also knew that he wasn't bringing his second wife and his mother, which had been the worst perpetrators against me. He had fed them these seeds. Right. They grew this, and then they kept it going. Right. So they became like his, what you call, his narcissistic source or supply. Or,
they constantly were,
they were like,
giving fuel. Yes.
So they weren't going to be there, so I knew he was alone. And so I actually, it's in the book, but I took him aside at this thing, and I made him watch beside me as she came up and got her diploma and took pictures and all that stuff. And then I hugged him.
Oh, wow.
And I was crying.
Shocking for him.
Because I was scared of this man. I mean, he had... you should read about it because I can't really get into all of it. It was long.
Dangerous.
Yeah, very dangerous.
Yeah.
And I hugged him. And I said, thank you so much for giving me such a beautiful child.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, gah, like this faucet thing. And I hung on to him.
Yeah.
And I could feel him like, oh,
tight.
And then he was like, and then something just kind of moved in him. And then I let go.
And then he dropped a lot of the...
dropped all the litigation.
The litigation.
Yeah. Like, within a month, everything was disappeared.
Wow.
I know.
That's just massive. And you are impacting people because Rena Ray, thank you for joining us. Rena says, it's incredible how similar stories of women who have had relationships with a narcissistic personality disorder people are. Awareness is vital. Thank you for sharing your story.
Oh, you're welcome, Renee.
You see?
Really.
I mean,
it's powerful stuff, but it was really difficult to get to that point where I realized I had a role in it too. And that was the only way to stop it.
And I don't know if it's Rena or Renee, I'm sorry, but it's wow, Sonya. And people can really, I mean, I have tears in my eyes as I'm thinking about this because so many people, because of the role that they play of falling, like almost, there's sort of almost like a sick attraction to that very seductive personality that will love bomb the shit out of you.
Totally. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly
and
what
will
it was.
seduce you and will bring you into their lair, and they're popular and interesting and savvy and fabulous. And then they'll change.
Yeah. Within a day it was weird.
And then there's this push and this pull and this dynamic of abuse and bully and manipulation, and you're not good enough, and and just this kind of tearing you down and tearing you down. And Rena says like Dracula. Exactly like Dracula. Where's the little things here?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Still there.
Yeah.
It was he would do bizarre things. You know that movie Gaslight?
Yeah, that's right.
Which I'd never heard of before. I'd never heard of this stuff. I'd never heard of what gaslighting was.
No way until T guy in the States. The Trump in the States.
Oh, T guy. Oh,
yeah.
God.
I try not to say the words. I even change when I say this supersedes that versus this trumps that. I try and correct myself with that. Supersede is my new favorite word.
It's frightening because he does remind me of my ex. That is exactly.
That's right.
It's the bombastic. When somebody accuses you of something, you run tenfold forward into it, accusing the other person.
Wow.
And then their psychology is fascinating, really. They get their way.
100%. No, absolutely. Because there's the old bait and switch, there's the old, everything. It's like everything that they're doing. In fact, they'll say, no, you're doing it.
No, I know.
You're doing it.
It's
a mirror.
Thing.
It's a flip.
Oh my God.
Constant.
That's so
constant.
accurate. Yeah.
Constant.
That's exactly. I mean, if you read those court papers, that's exactly what he did.
Yeah. It's like, they're attacking and they're bullying, but you're the bully and you're the one attacking.
But you see, the interesting thing is, not that you have to go into that person's psychology and forgive them and love them and all that all over again. No. You have to protect yourself. But when you go into the psychology, when you're safe to do so, and that's a big thing, you gotta be safe to do so.
Yeah.
You go into that and you say how sad they are. How
you need
obviously
to feel
lost.
Pity, yeah.
You do need to feel pity because they are not fully formed human beings. And I had to go into that place of compassion before I could do that. And by the way, after I did that, I got home and I threw up. And it was like a visceral reaction.
An exorcism.
No, I know, because I had no idea. I didn't even feel nauseous. And then I got home and I just literally vented and everything came out.
Wow.
Yeah, it was powerful.
So that's a huge thing. And then back to the childhood, because a lot of people experience sexual abuse.
Yes.
And a lot of people do not get the support or belief.
That's right.
Actual believing the kid. People, if your child says they're being sexually abused, believe them.
Yeah.
They have no need to lie.
Oh, yeah.
They don't need to make that stuff up.
Well,
I mean,
again, I forgave my mother for not handling that. It was in my medical records. It's in her diaries.
It is.
Yeah.
But she didn't give you the information that she...
She didn't stop it. She didn't want to see it. She didn't, But she couldn't.
That's so tough. She couldn't. And Mia says, yes, they are pathetic beings. So I assume you're referring to the NPD, the narcissistic, but cause so much havoc with those who meet them. My sister was the victim of a man like this. I mean,
wow,
so many
I'm
people.
Sorry to hear that.
I'm sorry to hear.
Because it's probably reverberated through your entire family too.
I mean, I'm sure. What happens is that there is so much with the NPD that happens, and I just wonder. I know your mom's passed, but maybe there was normal.
My mother, I believe, was a narcissist.
Normalization of that behavior is what occurs.
Yeah.
So usually, the children of narcissists, and I work with this a lot as a psychotherapist. The children of narcissists, they're trained, they're groomed to realize that there's no room for their emotions. Only the only the narcissist's emotions matter.
That's right.
The only room for their emotions, not the children's emotions, not anyone else's emotions. Those emotions are not to be validated. Only the narcissist who presents themselves as the victim. So it's very confusing.
Well, as a child, you don't have any platform. You've not had a framework built for you. There's no boundaries for those kinds of things and feelings.
Yeah.
And there's no place to talk about it.
No one's... Who are you talking about? My mother was this... Oh, your mother. It's like... Who are you talking
Well, it's always the mother.
That's right. Exactly. If it's not one thing, it's a mother, right?
I'm sure I screwed up a lot with my child, but I mean...
Your kid seems really
talking
cool.
about stuff. Well, that's a big thing.
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
The NP is not interested in talking.
No.
It's like... They're interested in feeling. You better feel sorry for them.
That's right.
You better cater to their feelings.
Yeah.
And if you aren't, you're a terrible person.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And it just reinforced everything.
So that trained you basically. Yeah. That trained you.
Yeah.
For that second marriage.
I think so.
Like I think so.
But my mother, I mean, she had her own stories of abuse.
Of course.
She was also sexually
hurt
abused,
people.
Yeah.
Hurt people. As I said, children, children of narcissists either become narcissists themselves or very, very, very codependent.
Oh, yeah.
And in need of approval always.
That's right.
And there's a healing that needs to happen, a massive, massive healing. Because what gets me up in the morning is really not perpetuating multi-generational, intergenerational dysfunction.
That's right.
And that's got to be like a massive, massive mandate. It certainly is my mandate in life and in my practice. It's massive.
I made it my mandate with my child. When I found out I was carrying a daughter, my first thought was, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm now going to perpetuate what's happened and how am I going to stop it and all that. And then my next thought was, I get to redo my childhood all over again through my child. So it was really amazing. Yeah, and I made a career out of raising her. I dropped my singing career. I dropped a lot of my acting career, and it just became all about money, of course, because I was getting hammered in the courts, but... Yeah, it was great. I'd do it all over again.
Really? Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, parenting is a tough journey, but it's a really, really satisfying journey when you do it in a way that's conscious and conscious raising of your child. Yeah. Hey, did you? I think you did. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you ever levy any kind of legal thing against the person who abused you as a child? Because they ended up living weirdly, some coincidence, at the end of your street later on in your life.
So
like, what the hell is that?
Okay, yeah.
Well, I listened to some interviews as I was preparing for this because I hadn't read the book, so I'm looking forward to reading the book. But
it's nuts. It's actually nuts. And I just took it as like the universe going, hello, we're not done with that yet.
That's right. Wow.
So this happened just outside of Montreal. When I was 2 to 5, basically, we moved away, and then my family stayed in touch with him to some degree. And then
because they were friends, or what was?
Well, he was the insurance broker for my
Oh,
parents.
okay, gotcha.
And he was a neighbor, and So, and his 2 daughters were also abused, and they were friends with me when I was a kid. And so then we moved away, and it became another, cycle of other people, because you've got this thing on your forehead, and whoever's looking for it, you find each other again. And then when I was older, I moved to Toronto, and I was in the process of like seeing how you litigate somebody for this kind of thing. And I was humming and hawing about it, and I got in touch with these daughters, and I told them some story. I made up some story, and I was living in north end of Toronto at the time on a 2-block street. And one of the daughters said, well, I'm not supposed to tell the other daughter and my mom that I'm in touch with my dad, but I haven't seen him in a while. This is his last known address. And the address was on my street.
Oh my gosh.
Like on my 2-block street.
What the hell is the universe saying in that one? I guess, did you go after him legally or?
No. I stood up and I backed away from my desk and I fell over. Because I was like
shocking.
Yeah, I was
so
in
shocking.
shock.
Oh my God.
And then it took me a few weeks to see whether or not he was still there, and he wasn't.
Oh, okay.
He didn't live there anymore. But during those few weeks, I reverted back into, I may as well have been curled up in fetal position on the floor. I was just in a panic, and it brought back. Talk about all the PTSD stuff, which I actually didn't really believe in until I was like unable to function. And then I realized, oh, he's not there anymore. And then I thought, oh my God, what if he's living with a woman with children and I have to warn them?
Right.
And all that stuff flooded me. And then I thought, no, I'm just going to take care of me and my kid. Which is really all I could do.
Right.
So,
it's such a powerful journey of, well, I want to say survival, but really of thriving and employing courage.
Well, I'm thriving now.
But I mean, I've known you to, even through the mess and the muck and the mire, you do triumph, and you use your art, and you raising your daughter, and really, to me, this is the epitome of a courageous life. I think that very courageous, but not only courageous, but conscious and authentic. Which I mean, courageous.
Conscious. I've always been conscious.
Yeah,
even through the worst of the shit, I was conscious, and that took a lot to stay conscious, because I did have a tendency of pretending. But once I realized, as an actor,
we tend to go into that.
As a child actor,
yes, sure.
So we're just going to put this face on now, and now we're going to put this face. It was just, it's great training to just keep burying this shit. So I realized, unless they're paying me to be one way or the other, I'm just going to be my baseline. Right. And I'm not the entertainer at parties, and I'm not the, I really am just a very sort of quiet individual, and people don't know that about me, but
as opposed to your public
persona. As opposed to my public persona.
Well, isn't it's so
and
true.
It's great. I'm protecting myself.
Absolutely. Johnny Carson was that way, apparently. He was, he was very, very, I don't know, for young people, they may not know who Johnny Carson was, but he was like, today's, I don't know, Jimmy Fallon. Yeah. And he did the Tonight Show, and he was just very, very, very out there and laughing and very, very, and then in his private life, apparently extraordinarily quiet and extraordinarily reserved. And I think that's the same thing of a lot of entertainers. Yes. They tend to have this persona, and then in real life, very, very reserved.
Well, my persona is very real. Like, I am, like, really always this way. I am animated, and I am on, and I am, and I'm actually exhausting for the man that I live with. He's like, oh my God, another quest, right? But when I'm in my zone and I'm doing my recharging of my batteries, I am
How do
into
you recharge?
Yoga. I'm into yoga. I'm into yoga and meditation, and I do like major weightlifting.
Oh, good job.
In fact, I'm going for a fitness competition. I'm doing a bikini competition.
Right on. And you are hot.
Doing this at 53.
Oh, we're the same age. Yes.
Oh God, I know, it's nuts.
Totally.
But my dad is doing it with me.
Oh my God.
He's 78.
And I've seen pictures of your dad. You should follow Sonya Côté, because she sings like a dream. And you do. You're great. I posted some of your singing, in advance of this interview. But you're awesome. And your dad is awesome. He's just a character. She's singing with her dad at a Patsy Cline concert or a tribute concert. And he's fabulous. He's just so fabulous and just full of personality.
Yeah.
Did you have to make peace with him because of the childhood as well?
I did. 54 years married, my parents, and then my mother passed away this year, and I was terrified for my dad because he's so dependent. He's such a man of his age.
Right.
But he also plays hockey 3 times a week,
and
he also, he's nonstop energy. So I thought this could go one of 2 ways. Like, he could go into a massive depression and die, or he could finally start living.
Free.
Right? Because he's been taking care of my mom for so long. So
And kowtowing
Yeah.
to her large emotions and being, you know.
And very much so. In
Yeah.
fact, my father's a born performer.
Right.
He was singing and acting before he landed a job at CBC to feed his family. He was a journalist and broadcaster. But he kept up this public speaking and the singing and all that stuff. So now he's literally doing this as a second career.
Oh my gosh.
And he's on fire, man. He's just like...
That's so
he's
great.
very
Will there be
inspiring.
another concert with the Côtés?
I don't know. It was so
I think
gracious
so.
of Heather Morgan to give us that. Because my daughter sang too. And
Oh,
I
your
did
daughter
this duet
sings
with
too.
my dad.
Is she an actor too, right?
She's an actress and a singer.
Oh, wow.
She is on her path and
Yeah.
looks nothing like me, is nothing like me, arguably is a way better actor than I ever was already.
Moms are so...
No, it's
Well,
true.
non-NP moms are so proud of their kids. Or sometimes, you know,
thank you.
it's sweet. It's
Yeah,
sweet.
she's great. She's awesome. So we'll see where it
So,
goes.
okay, let's start to wrap up,
Yeah.
which is, how can they find you? What's your project that you know, you're teaching some really cool,
I am.
you know, some Jezebel-y cool courses. Tell the folks, tell them
I
what they're
would
doing.
love to, yeah. I'm at a place called the Infinity Forge in Hamilton.
Wow.
Likely Monday nights, possibly Tuesday, depending. Still up in the air. Check my website out for that.
Yeah. Which is what? What's your website?
SonyaCote.com.
Okay.
SonyaCote.com.
Perfect.
And I have to update it because these courses are still being created. But they start August 15th.
Yes.
And the first one is how to write erotica. And the next one
Ooh,
is...
how to write erotica. Woohoo!
Well, I was the love and sex columnist for a while for Now Magazine, so...
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Oh, you were the
yeah.
love and sex
Well, you know,
columnist
when you
for
need money,
Now.
you write
You
smut,
say that
right?
in a very circumspect way. Say it clear. I was the love, say it, and sex columnist
love and
for
sex
the
columnist.
Now Magazine. Mother of Christ.
I know.
That's awesome.
I did this while my kid was in daycare. I mean, I needed some
Love
money,
it,
and I
yes.
was approached by Now Magazine.
Survival, man. Thriving
Yeah.
and surviving.
It was great. I loved
Courageously.
it. Well, that's my next book. Is a collection of 10 stories of erotica told from 10 different women in 10 different bodies and colors and ages,
I love
all
it.
in first person.
Wow.
So based on that, I'm now doing this course, How to Write Erotica, and the next one is How to Narrate Your Own Erotic Book. The following course in the new year is Find Your Inner Jezebel, which is
Find Your
about what we
Inner
talked
Jezebel.
about. That's right. And I'm talking about that at a thing called Rising Tides Spoken Lives, August 15th. September 5th.
Not August, past.
Or October, sorry.
October, okay.
What month are we?
We are in September. So in October
October.
15th.
And it'll be on my website, yes.
Okay, so check out these
Yeah.
dates on her website. And what's the
Yes.
final one that you're teaching? How to strip or something?
How to Strip for Your Man.
How
which
to
is
Strip for Your Man.
springtime of next year.
Yeah. Oh.
Also, all at the Infinity Forge. Again, I have to
Fun.
update my website, but check on it in a week or so. Everything will be up and running.
Fun.
And you can find my book on Amazon. And I'm recording an audiobook too. So I'm
Ooh.
starting that next week. And that should be up on Audio Amazon
Yes.
or Audible Amazon.
Audible, yeah.
By, I would guess, end of November. Yeah.
Amazing.
So just a few projects.
Just a few projects.
Along with doing American Gods, and you know, I've been acting like crazy.
TV and
Yeah, it's been insane.
That's
I'm
amazing.
So great.
That's so great.
Yeah.
That's a famous person, right?
As far as Canada goes, anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you never know.
Yeah,
You
I'll
never
take
know.
it.
Sonya, thank you for coming
Thank
to
you for
Courageous
having me. This is
Conversations.
awesome.
You're
Yeah.
such a courageous soul and a warrior and a spiritual warrior and, you know, an inspiration.
Thank you.
And you've come out the other side shining
Yes.
bright.
Yeah.
Shining bright on so many levels. So pick up her book, I'm Not Naked Anymore, Memoirs of a Contemporary Jezebel. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll do a hug. Yes.
Thank you.
Oh. All right. We're going
Thank
to
you.
sign off. Tomorrow I'm coming at you again with another Courageous Conversation, 9:30. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. I'm going to do a finish button right here.